Welcome to our Eastbrook Community Gardeners presentation on our projects. We have three main projects: St Albans Corner, Southwick Community Orchard, and the Birch Tree project. I've always been a keen gardener and interested in how our physical space affects our well-being. It was on a visit to the garden at Field Place and seeing these wildflowers that I daydreamed about creating something similar in the unloved verges close to my home. Every time I walked past these verges, I imagined the beautiful wildflowers and wondered how easy it would be to create. Field Place is beautiful, and I felt, why not have this beauty in Fishersgate? Being a deprived and highly industrial area, it would have a fantastic impact on both people and biodiversity. Sometime later at a local toddler group, I met Gwen from TCV, and she asked me my feeling on green spaces. I told her my idea and she said, let's go for it. So the project began. In May 2019, we started the first bed with TCV, volunteers, and Keith, our Ada and Worthing Park Ranger. Together we dug and sowed some wildflowers. In autumn, I threw on some Californian poppies, and the following May, we got a wonderful display. Last autumn, we threw on a whole load more seed, including red field poppies. So hopefully in springtime this year, we will also have a lovely display. In another session, we dug up a second bed into which we planted some spare perennials from my garden. Passers-by mentioned about the state of the overgrown area by the industrial units, so we spent another few sessions tidying and planting that area as well. The Lighthouse Community Church liaised with us, and in October 2019, we dug up their verge and planted perennials, most of which were spares from my garden. We added bulbs and bark chips, so the total outlay was £50. We received a lot of nice comments from locals. The good things with perennials is that they keep on multiplying. Green Tides are the Ada and Worthing Green Space Partnership, and they will soon be creating a website which will include a wildflower trail. We would very much like to be on this wildflower trail, so with this vision in mind, attention turned to the main beds during lockdown 2020. We contacted Field Place to find out the name of the seed, and their designer, Juliet Sargent, confirmed it was called Patriot by Pictorial Meadows. So I bought some and we dug and sowed the seed in May 2020. We also sowed some in our garden. The flowers flew wonderfully in our garden, but disappointingly, they failed in St Albans. We think it's possibly the drought or birds. Instead of wildflowers, weeds grew. I was disappointed, as you can imagine, as I was hoping for a stunning display. I contacted Pictorial Meadows and they confirmed what had happened, that we had unearthed a seed bank of weeds that had been lying dormant there for decades. So we had to pull it all up, but it was a learning curve, and it will be worth the effort once we achieve the vision of the wildflowers. I sought the advice of a garden designer, and she recommended buying some perennial wildflower turf, which can be bought for £12 per square metre from wildflowerturf.co.uk. We are fundraising for this at present. We plan to use a combination of turf and seed and start this process again this spring. So in summary, it's been a great learning experience. We've had lots of positive comments and from the local community, and more neighbours have been tending their gardens. Our plan for 2021 for St Albans is to achieve success with the main flower bed, continue weeding and tending all beds, come up with a design for the fly tip zone, an area that's always used as a dumping ground for people's rubbish, plant some more 3 birch trees and some more bulbs, including English native bluebells. We'd also like to grow our volunteer base. Moving on to our next project, the Southwick Community Orchard. We were invited by TCV, the conservation volunteers, and Impulse Leisure to input into a space that is the area the size of a tennis court. Extensive consultation was done with local residents and community groups, and a decision was made for a community orchard with wildflowers. The pandemic hit just as the groundwork was due to commence, so work was halted. In July, we undertook a site suitability consultation exercise with Brighton Permaculture Trust, and they proposed a plan and some costings for the orchard. That very same week, Impulse went into administration. We are delighted to hear that South Downs Leisure are now taking over the centre. Naturally, we appreciate the South Downs Leisure are new management and will need to carefully consider the use of space afresh, and they will keep us informed of the decisions made. Our third project is a birch tree project. Dr. Richard Stowe, consultant ecologist, got in touch with us to tell us about his idea. In Ashdown Forest, birch trees are considered invasive and must be cleared. Birch makes an excellent urban tree, second only to oak for supporting biodiversity. It's easy to manage, looks good, has a light canopy, cleans the air, brings the forest into town and attracts birds. What's not to like? Ashdown happily agreed to this project where their unwanted trees are uplifted by community groups pre-arranged by TCV and then taken for urban planting, a win-win for us all. So Eastbrook Community Gardeners connected Richard with TCV, Green Tides and Ada and Worthing Council, and we did a group uplift in January 2020, collecting over 300 viable trees. These were then heeled into the Ada and Worthing depot at Southwick Recreation Ground. 100 have been planted on council land, including Southwick Green, and 200 remain for community groups. We have established a steering group and aim to share the trees out. We aim to do some pilot plantings with Eastbrook School and Shoreham Academy, and also at St Albans to see how the trees do. We are currently working on a communication to drive up the demand for the trees this summer, ready for the October to March tree planting season. So that sums up our current projects. It's been shown that connecting with nature has a tremendous benefit on both physical and mental health. In 2021, we would like to build relationships with other stakeholders in this community on the Greening the Grey mission, so that we can join the dots and inspire each other. TCV are helping us to build our capacity as a group, and this year we plan to increase the numbers in our committee and our volunteers. There are just 4 of us so far and around 10 volunteers. We feel it's important that young people can also contribute. Once we've increased our capacity, we can work on further projects. Ideas that come to mind for the future are as follows. There are a few greening projects happening that we are aware of. Oops, hold on. And it would be great for the community to get involved. The conservation volunteers are putting together a lovely community secret garden at Bishopsgate Recreation Ground. The new Shore and Port kitchen is being planned for late summer, and they are installing some big planters. The Brighton Dolphin project are planning on rewilding some banks by the harbour shore. Leyland's Court and Southwick Square Garden are always needing some help from volunteers to maintain their gardens. We would like to advocate for more trees in this area, which is a very industrial area and devoid of trees. For example, Gardner Road, Gardner Road, Fisherscape. It's a lovely wide road with plenty of empty verges and would look amazing and benefit many if cherry trees were planted with their beautiful blossom in spring. It would be lovely to hear the birdsong in this area like we do in other parts of Brighton. As we walk around the area, there are other possible opportunities that we notice. Ada and Worthing Council have done a fantastic job installing the wildflower beds in Fishersgate Recreation Ground. They add such interest and biodiversity to the park, and you can see a picture of their flowers here. However, there are large swathes of utility grass next to the road in Fishersgate and Southwick outside the blocks of flats. We would like to suggest to Ada Homes that large wildflower beds are planted there, bringing the beauty and diversity to this area as well. During lockdown, Friends of Wish Park created this lovely mural. It gave rise to the thought about the possibility of having one in Fishersgate, perhaps on Greening the Grey. The main thoroughfare from Fishersgate to the shops involves walking past what landscape architects call dead frontage, i.e. the back end of industrial units, such as the one in this photo. Wouldn't it be great to green this grey with an inspiring mural? We have so much history in this area that we can celebrate, as well as being the boundary between East and West Sussex. At the bottom of Church Road, Portslade, there is a historic boat called the Gassy. It was used to transport the workers over to the gasworks in days gone by. It's looking forlorn and is in need of some TLC, and we would like to make some inquiries about it as to whether we could potentially put a wildflower bed there. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening. We all need to do our bit for increasing biodiversity and providing habitat for our pollinators. For those fortunate enough to have a garden, we'd like to inspire you to plant some bee-friendly flowers. But we urge you to think beyond your own boundaries. We'd like to increase our volunteer base so that we can signpost you to all the great work that is happening. Wouldn't it be nice for you to say, I sowed the seed for those flowers, or I helped look after that bed, or I planted that tree? We need committee members and volunteers, so our contact details are below at eastbrookcommunitygardeners@gmail.com, or you can contact us via our Facebook page, Eastbrook Community Gardeners, or our St Albans Garden Fishersgate Facebook page. Thank you once again for listening.